The Three Vessels. In a small village cradled by rolling hills, where the sun painted the fields gold each morning, lived a young woman named Lila. She was known for her bright spirit, but lately her heart had grown heavy. Life felt like an endless storm. Each challenge she overcame was followed by another, heavier than the last. She confided in her grandmother, Amara, a weaver whose hands spun stories as deftly as they wove thread. "I'm so tired, Nana," Lila said, her voice trembling. "I solve one problem and another rises. I don't know how to keep going, Amara." Her eyes crinkling with the wisdom of years, took Lila's hand and led her to the hearth in their modest home. "Come," she said softly, "let me show you something." She filled 3 clay pots with water and set them over the fire, the flames licking the bases as the water began to simmer. Into the first pot, Amara placed a handful of river stones, smooth and unyielding. Into the second, she gently lowered a delicate bird's egg. Into the third, she sprinkled a handful of crushed rose petals, their fragrance rising faintly as they touched the water. Lila watched, puzzled, as the pots began to boil. Amara said nothing, tending the fire with a quiet grace. The silence stretched, broken only by the bubbling water and the crackle of wood. Lila shifted restlessly, her questions piling up like storm clouds. What was her grandmother doing? Why these strange items? But she held her tongue, sensing something deeper at play. After a time, Amara doused the flames. She lifted the river stones from the first pot and placed them in a woven basket. They glistened, softer at the edges, their once sharp contours worn smooth by the heat. From the second pot, she retrieved the egg and set it on a cloth. Its fragile shell had hardened, unyielding to the touch. Finally, she poured the water from the third pot into a clay cup, and the air filled with the sweet, warm scent of roses, transformed into a golden infusion that glowed in the firelight. Amara turned to Lila. "What do you see, child?" Lila frowned, unsure. "Stones, an egg, and—" "Touch them," Amara urged. "Feel what they've become." Lila ran her fingers over the stones, their surfaces now silken, almost tender. She cracked the egg, peeling away the shell to reveal a solid core where liquid once flowed. Then she lifted the cup, inhaling the rose water's fragrance, its warmth spreading through her chest like a quiet song. "What does this mean, Nana?" she asked, her voice soft with wonder. Amara sat beside her, the fire casting shadows on her weathered face. "Each of these, stones, egg, rose petals, faced the same trial, the boiling water. But each responded in its own way. The stones were strong, unyielding, but the heat softened them, wearing away their edges. The egg was fragile, its shell guarding a tender heart, but the water hardened it, locking its softness inside. The rose petals, though, they didn't just endure, they transformed the water itself, giving it their fragrance, their essence, creating something new and beautiful. She took Lila's hands, her grip firm yet gentle. Life is like that water, Lila. It brings trials, heat, pressure. We all face it. But what matters is what happens within you. Are you the stone, softened by hardship until you lose your strength? Are you the egg, hiding your softness behind a hardened shell? Or are you the rose, taking the pain and turning it into something that blesses the world? Lila's eyes glistened, the weight of her grandmother's words settling into her soul. She thought of her struggles, the arguments, the sleepless nights, the endless worries. She'd felt like the stone, worn down, or the egg, guarding her heart behind a brittle wall. But the rose was different. It didn't resist or hide. It gave itself fully, changing the very water that sought to destroy it. Amara handed her the cup of rose water. "Drink," she said. Lila sipped, the warmth spreading through her, softening the knots in her chest. In that moment, she felt a shift, not an answer to all her problems, but a new way of seeing them. The trials of life weren't just obstacles. They were invitations to create, to transform, to offer something beautiful to the world. From that day, Lila carried the lesson of the 3 vessels in her heart. When hardship came, she paused, asking herself, "What will I bring to this moment?" Sometimes she faltered, feeling like the stone or the egg. But more often, she chose the rose, letting her pain become a gift, a kind word, a quiet act of courage, a moment of grace that changed the air around her. The village began to notice. Lila's smile returned, not as a mask, but as a light from within. And when others came to her, weary and lost, she'd lead them to the hearth, fill 3 pots with water, and share the story of the stones, the egg, and the rose petals. "Life will always bring its fire," she'd say, her voice steady as the flame. "But you get to choose what it makes of you." Moral: in the heat of life's trials, we are shaped not by what happens to us, but by how we respond within.